I have 6:30 on this.
Yeah, you can leave a recording.
Her husband
If you
did,
want.
yeah.
Yeah,
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
6:30.
It is 6:30, so I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Belgrade Select Board for March 4th, 2025. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have everyone present and accounted for, so we have a full board, which establishes our quorum. I move that we open the meeting.
Second,
All in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Peter?
yes.
Melanie? Yes. Barbara? Yes. And I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. But Barbara has a sore throat, so we will be, doing a lot of head nodding today, I think. So at this time, we do have, this is the time of the meeting where if someone has something they'd like to bring to the attention of the board that is not on the regular agenda, and would like to bring to us, this would be the time to do it. It's usually just a short presentation. As a general rule, we do not take action at the meeting, but we do, look to address it in the subsequent meetings. So with that in mind, is there anyone that has, anything they want to bring under public comment? No, okay. All right, so the first item is to approve the minutes from our February 18th meeting. So I move we approve the minutes
I'll
as
second,
written.
I'll second that.
Anyone have any places they needed? Barbara?
Under public comment, it says, thank you letter to Kristen for all work in making it a successful event. So is the event that we were talking about, was that the winter carnival?
That was the ice rink.
I know,
Oh,
but it just says it as an event, so I just wasn't sure.
Do you want to put the winter
The
carnival?
winter carnival, wasn't that the event?
That was. I did these in like, I ripped them out, so.
And we
I
thank you
have
for the effort.
no problem with you changing anything.
we probably should put Kristen, is it McDowell
Yeah.
and Bert and Sarah Langell? Any other corrections?
Yeah, unfortunately, sorry, under, B, permit fees. The code enforcement officer presented his recommendations for increasing, isn't it permit fees for building?
Fees for building permits, right? Should be
Well,
building.
it's permit fees,
Permit fees.
permit fees.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then, for that last sentence of that paragraph, some of the fees are noted in ordinances should be taken out because it means ordinances would have to be amended. It's amended by the voters.
Well, yeah, I don't know, I guess I just assumed that was assumed
I
because
mean-
it is an ordinance, so,
Okay.
okay, amended by the voters, you wanna add that in?
by the voters, we can.
That's fine with me.
All it does is clarify.
I think it clarifies it. And then in the
Okay.
next sentence, Dan Newman noted that the fees set should pay for the cost. But I think it's more contribute to the cost. I don't know that we're looking at the entire.
Well, when I listened to the,
No,
it did
it
say pay for the cost.
Oh,
We're
okay.
trying
Yes,
to
it
pay
did.
the
Okay, I didn't.
salary.
We're trying to offset the cost of being code enforcement.
Right.
And we could change that, but that was the verbiage that
Okay.
was used that
Yeah.
evening.
That's fine. I can go back and listen.
Okay,
And then in the last sentence, he recommended the town contacts surrounding towns to review their fee schedules for both plumbing, building and plumbing, and again, put permits in.
permits, okay.
And then under E-Spirit of America, 3 applicants requested that the couple receive individual awards.
Strike me in. And
And that's all I have.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, so, I move we approve the amendments as noted.
No, I'll
Yeah.
second that,
Okay, all in favor, Dan?
Yep.
Peter?
yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
And now I move we approve the amended minutes. All in favor?
I'll second
You'll
that,
second, Dan?
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Barbara? And I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. Okay, on our agenda, the first thing on our agenda was the well contamination district. Just for those folks who aren't aware, Dwight Dowdy came down ill today, so he is not, he is the gentleman from Maine DOT we've been working with on the resolution for the salt well contamination. He is ill and is not going to be here tonight, so we do not have an opportunity to discuss it with him. I don't know if if anyone wants to make any quick comments about the options here. I just looked at in looking at this, it looks like the state is willing to explore option A, which is they spend 2.8 million to build the operation. And then we have to pay the full cost to run it and maintain it and repair it forever. And our initial cost was about 30,000 a year starting, and of course, that would escalate over time. The option B that is out there, and people we should be thinking through, to acquire the modular home properties and install water treatment systems in 8 properties. And apparently there's some new technologies that make that an option, that it wasn't an option previously. That would be a $2 million option that would be split between the state and the town 50-50. And then there is a third option the state is proposing to construct bump outs for the modular homes and install water treatment systems in the basements of the homes that have basements. And doing that option comes to 1.25 million, which again would be split between the town and the state. So I think it gives us something to think about and look at. My comment there, I had 2 or 3 comments, which I would forward back. One is, if they go to B or C, if they go to B, which is acquiring 5 properties, who would own the properties at the end of that process?
Previous conversations,
I'm sorry,
previous conversations about that would be that it would be split, and we asked if it would be a 50-50 or 49-51.
right,
He didn't have a solid answer for that, but we would be joint owners.
so, if we go to one of the lower options, we're saving the state at least 1.8 million. So
Mhm.
I think when I guess my thinking of it is when we're talking with Dwight, we have some negotiating room here to look at it, choose that option. That would give us possibility of land for public works, or of course, we now have a fire department, but just putting it out there because it's in print, people are gonna see it, things for us to think about. And then I'd also want to negotiate the split instead of 50-50, if they're saving that much money. We were gonna be paying 30,000 every year. But how are we gonna come up with the money to do our part of it? Do we bond for it? Where does that come from? So they're just things we need to be thinking about and information we need to gather. And I don't know if there are other questions that, anyone comes up with. I'd recommend if you do, we forward them into Lorna and have her let, Dwight know that there are some concerns we want, so he can come a little better prepared to address it. So,
Yeah, I don't know that we actually have negotiating power in the 50-50 split, because that was set back in 2011 with the original
Yeah.
ones, and I believe the lawyer and our lawyer both came in and said that we were obligated at a 50-50.
right,
So,
but if it means we do that instead of the 2.8, is that a place we have some room? I don't know the answer to that, but.
The
Bruce?
new technology is what you have behind you, guys. what's in that closet, that's new technology. I mean, it's been there right along, I don't know why they now just decided to go that route now.
I don't know. It says we have a better understanding of impacted properties, current salt removal, water treatment systems, and construction of creative cold weather enclosures. There are a few options maybe we may want to consider. So we'll know more when we have a chance to meet with them, but. So those were just things that I had that popped into my mind.
So do you want a motion to table the water district and well contamination discussion? until-
Yep.
So
You wanna make that
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Peter, Melanie?
Yes.
Barbara. Okay. So the next item is, committee appointments, and, the first one is for Brad Duplessis. I thought maybe that's who you were. Brad is here for, looking to be appointed to the Board of Parks and Recreation. You wanna just give us a little thumbnail on why you're interested in doing this?
My three kids go to the Belgrade School. I've been a Rome resident up until this last year, so now I'm a Belgrade resident, so Jamie has been trying to get me to do this for a while, and I've been restricted, so I've been very involved in the school and the after school coaching for the different teams and stuff, and I want to be more involved in what happens with the opportunities for the kiddos, so.
I think that's wonderful. Did you have comment? No?
No.
Oh, okay. I move that we appoint Brad Duplessis to the Board of Parks and Rec.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Peter?
yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
Barbara says yes, I say yes. Welcome aboard. Thank you for being willing to take an interest, and I'm sure that is, will be greatly appreciated. And then I know you will need to get with Mary to be sworn in, and that will be not tomorrow.
No problem.
Because we're closed tomorrow. Okay. The second item is, a resignation. This was, written on February 20th to, Mary Vogel. After careful consideration and with a very heavy heart, I am resigning from the Senior Resource Committee. With the reopening of our store April 1st and being elected Secretary of the Kennebec County Republican Committee, I feel is in the best interest of the committee to resign effective today, February 20th. I have truly enjoyed the committee, but running out of hours in the day. As I mentioned before, anything the Senior Resource Committee may need for classes or committee projects that I am able to get, I will be happy to do that for the committee at cost plus shipping. I will help out where I can, when I can. I would still like to attend meetings when I can. Thank you for everything, and this was very hard to write, and that's from Mayanne Bush. So I move we accept her resignation with regret.
second,
Dan,
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Barbara, and I'll vote yes.
And
So yeah, if you would send her a certificate as well. Okay, that takes us through. We are now down to, review town meeting warrant with moderator Kristen Bishop.
Hi again, everybody. Feels like it's just been a year.
Yeah.
Yes, feel like it's been a year. Huh?
With the pleasure of the board, I do want to run down through the various articles like we did last time.
Mhm.
I did take an update educational course. Thank you, Mary, for setting that up with the Maine Municipal Association. You know, basically everything is the same, but there's little tweaks along the way. And it also provided me an opportunity now with some experience in running a meeting to be able to ask questions that, you know, can come up during a meeting. But before we go down through the articles, before you get into any of that, is there anything that you folks saw at the last meeting that I might be able to do better, change, different, anything along those lines that I can take notes on?
I thought you did fabulously.
Oh, thank you.
So
No, I thought you did a well-run meeting.
kept everything moving, you were kind of light and stuff, and that's what you need.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Just on track.
I'm also a lot cheaper than hiring the attorneys to do it, so there's that. The guy running the meeting for the educational thing, I forget which law firm he's with, he's very, very good. But you know, when he runs those meetings, it's whichever towns are hiring him, because some do. It's a lot of money, you know, so I'm happy to do my part as a civic duty. I know the town has to pay me. I would do it anyways, just so everyone knows. I think that's part of giving back. So I believe we start on Article 14, correct, Mary, is for that part, if I read everything correctly? And like before, it was super helpful for me to be able to have somebody who's pre-picked call on if there is a question. Obviously, that isn't always gonna be the case for every single article, but if we can run down through them kind of quickly and just mark up who might be the person I would call on, if it's anybody present here. If it's not somebody present here, you might suggest somebody I can write down. That way during the meeting, I can look for that person to pick on. Is that okay with everybody?
To pick on.
Not pick on, to choose to speak to that question.
I don't know if Lorna will be available. She does have a doctor's appointment in Boston the day before.
Right,
She does. So my expectation is I think we should plan on her not being there, and if she's there, then that's all the better. But to be prepared in the event that she's not able to be there,
Right.
so.
yeah, because last year she did speak on a number of the
She
articles.
did, and, so anyway, that's when her surgical follow-up is.
Okay. And some of these may not have to really have anybody, but I thought if I just run down through them, and just we'll go through and if anybody feels that somebody is appropriate to speak on it, we'll note that. Article 14, anybody in particular, if there's any questions on that, that's pretty standard starting
Yeah.
language.
Standard.
If anybody asks me,
It is standard.
Yeah, it's just a
Same
standard.
question we have every year.
Yep.
Right,
Same
it's an article we have every year to
Yep.
allow us to be
Yeah.
able to run for 3 months of the year.
Yes.
Article 15, anybody in particular? That's the allowing the board to negotiate contracts, et cetera.
Again, we're only allowed to do a one-year contract unless we have this in the piece, so it's a pretty standard clause again.
Understood.
If you want, you guys.
I would say if the
Carol.
owner isn't there, then it would be.
Carol.
Yep. Sounds good.
With 4 people to help bail me out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would just, if there was a question,
Yeah.
I would then look to you to speak,
Right.
and then if somebody else jumps in discussion. I don't
Absolutely.
think last time there was anybody who asked any questions on any of those types of articles. It was only when you get to the money articles that
Right.
anybody really asks, I think, from memory. Again, Article 16, this one does start to get into some monetary considerations. Any particular person?
So it should be Lorna ideally.
Right,
She
yeah.
is there because we haven't put out for the tan yet, so hopefully that's going up soon, so we will have a number.
Right.
To put in there. So the
But
board
this is-
maybe should give that some consideration because it does talk about 1% above the current annum interest of the tan. And because we haven't gone out for the tan yet, we do not know what that per annum may be.
Right,
But that's why we've written this, is basically boilerplate, it doesn't matter
Right,
what it
this
comes
is-
back.
yeah,
for
it doesn't
interest,
come
it's gonna
back.
be
Okay.
1%
this is
above.
sort of standard to what we did
Right,
every year
if
as
it comes
well.
back at 5%.
Well, somebody may ask the question,
Right.
well, what
What
is
is
the
the
per
tan?
annum?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you
I'll
know,
address that,
somebody
yeah.
needs to be prepared to answer
Yeah.
for
So
that.
Carol, you
So,
again?
Carol, sure.
And if we don't have the new one, we can say we don't have the new one, but last year it was
Last year it
this,
was.
and
We could set it as last year's.
no, because.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't.
You really
can't put the
can't.
Interest last year's, because what happens is the interest is 3% higher this year,
I don't know, but you gotta have an answer
you know,
anyway.
I would answer it that way. that-
Yeah,
We
but we
did
don't
work
have
on some tan stuff together, but I don't know if it'll be back within the 2-week time
Right.
frame. So,
Okay,
Got a priority, okay.
Article 17 and following ones, one of the questions I have for the board is that, do we want to read budget, actual, and then the request when I go down through, or just read the article and just the request and leave that other information off? I am certainly happy to read all of those line items, but I'm not sure that that's actually the question. The question is really to approve the request. What do you folks think? And that's including all the other ones that follow that are similar to that.
So everybody will have an article in front of them or have the
Right.
availability of an article. My suggestion is we do what we did when we did the fire department meeting, is we put up 2 screens. And that we have the article as they're discussed showing, because some people can read those easier than reading here. That would be my suggestion of, and then I don't know if they're there, do we need?
Well, one of the tricks of the trade that the attorney said is that, and you might have noticed the last meeting I used it with at the beginning, but unanimous consent. And you start that with barring any objection, and then I lay out what it is. Nobody objects, that's unanimous, and everybody's agreed, consent. You can do that with language and reading, but you have to be careful if there's anybody with disabilities. So somebody who might be sight impaired, things like that, then you have to read it because you could be violating their rights. So you kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent on that. But it's legitimate, but that would be a situation where somebody could say, yes, I do object, I can't see, right?
Right,
And then you say, oh my gosh, okay, and then we can move from there.
And they will all have warrant articles in front of them, because they will be handed out if they don't have their town report as they walk through the door and pick up their card.
So,
If it were me, I wouldn't read.
I wouldn't read,
everything.
I would say as printed in either the warrant article or the.
so I'm gonna start, when I do in the beginning things, I will do a unanimous consent clause, which basically says that barring any objection, I will be summarizing I'll read the article, summarize the budget numbers as everyone has it here. If nobody objects, that's what we'll be doing.
Yeah.
Cause I agree with that. It makes it faster so that I don't have to read every line item. And it is right in front of them and they can see it. But if somebody does object and they're sight impaired, well, we'll work with that. We'll just do what we have to do. Okay. That answers that. On Article 8, excuse me, so Article 17. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking all over here. Hi, Barbara.
So if you, the phrase that you use, barring any dissent,
No, barring any objection.
barring any objection, would you have to read that before each of these
I will
articles?
do it at the beginning
Or
in
just
general
like-
terms of the procedures.
Right,
And I did that with the fact that we use the Maine Municipal, well, I don't have it right in front of me, but as the guide. That way, by doing that and saying barring any objection, that approves to use that method for our meeting. We don't use Robert Rules of Order because then you get into a whole big parliamentary thing and that's not recommended. Nobody objects, of course, because that's what the town has always done. And there was no objection. But they said that is a great tool. It's not trying to trick anybody. It's just trying to make the meetings efficient, move along. But if there is an objection, certainly it's discussed, voted, and then we go from there.
okay, thank you.
All right, so who wants to speak to Article 17, if there's questions? To start with, there may be other people, of course, but. Carol again?
Well, Bruce will be,
I mean,
well,
if-
yeah,
Well, the thing is that people may say, why did we, so
right,
it it sticks out to me. Why did we receive less homestead exemption
right,
money
Yeah,
And on that
than we
one.
received in the previous year?
right.
right.
So being versed on the reason why would be beneficial to you,
Right,
okay?
Would that be you then? Would you
Yeah.
feel comfortable
It
doing
should be
that?
Lorna,
it should be. If
it
Lorna's
should
got
be
the-
Lorna.
But Lorna first.
So Lorna first, Carol second, I'll get you the reason
Okay,
Robbie's coming in on Friday and I'll make him put it in writing.
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
good, yeah,
So, can I make a kind of suggestion? I mean, we have no idea what's gonna, happen with Warner on that Friday. And I don't, we shouldn't be putting a lot of pressure on her either. So I think you guys as a board need to be prepared to answer these questions.
right,
So one board member should take a few questions, another board member should take a few questions, another board member should take a few questions, and you guys educate yourself on the answers on this. I mean, the next article, I'm gonna bring up a comment when you get to it.
So
now, I
that one,
believe I, just with the board, I believe I'm correct that our request is 95% of the 24 actual that's printed. Am I correct? That's what we ended up doing. Right.
That's my recollection.
So that
Yes.
was, that
Yes.
was, isn't an answer, how come you didn't put more or less than you did before? If someone asked that question is, we're looking to be conservative, we budgeted at 95% of the prior years,
That's what we
with the
told-
exception of.
So on that one, it actually was.
Oh, and then
another
we have the
reason
bank interest
That
one.
paperwork did not get filed. For
I'm
the
sorry?
homestead. Paperwork did not get filed for the homestead. So. That's why. We're down on the homestead exemption,
Okay,
okay?
okay, so I'll get that wording, so I have the.
Some,
appropriate answer.
some will get some appropriate wording.
Okay, all right. Municipal revenue sharing, bank interest is one that may generate discussion,
Big time.
which I think we probably should be ready to, have that discussion of. The fact that we were not, have not been segregating our, segregating the money for our reserve accounts. And all the interest from all of it has been going into the general fund, which we cannot do. We legally have to separate them, which we are going to be doing after town meeting. And for that reason, there's not as much interest showing, because the interest that would normally go, that was going to the general fund will now be paid on each of those individual accounts. So we put $500,000 away 2 years ago, there's still $500,000 in that account. It's earned no interest for that account. And we've got to correct that this year, so. Which is a gulp, but it's the law.
Oh, it's what should have been, supposed to been being.
Well, I'm not looking to throw darts in the past, other than it should have been done, it wasn't done, hasn't been done, we now have to correct it. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay,
And before I forget, one of the things that I'll be doing is, when I get to the articles and read the article, but obviously not every little line item as far as
Right.
dollars, again, via unanimous consent. I will be reading, as in the past, the select board recommendation and budget committee recommendation
right,
results. Even though those folks might have it, not everybody sits there and reads every line item, but I think people like that last time, so we'll just continue that
mhm,
unless anybody disagrees. The next article, I did ask at the meeting, I didn't have the exact thing in front of me, but I asked in general terms to, the training is what happens if, because as we all know, you cannot increase any expenditure, but you certainly could decrease if the town, so votes. The only thing I wanted them to clarify, which they did, which is if somebody for some reason says, and I'm just picking on this one because it's there, the administration budget, and they make a motion to reduce that. That also has to include in the motion, the same reduction in the bottom line number as well. Because if you don't, then in effect, there's additional monies being spent somewhere that wasn't in the warrant. So they said, yes, you have to have, if there's ever a motion like that to reduce, then the total has to be reduced by. It seems logical, but I just wanted to clarify that with them, make sure that that was agreed.
well, and I think we need to be ready on the budget, on that administration number to show how much is, Mary and I talked about this briefly, how much is wages, how much is administrative stuff, how much are contracts that get loaded into it. We need to work on an answer for that.
And so I do want you to know that those numbers of actual are not correct.
Yeah, and I was just
I ran
picking on that one because I think
report.
the biggest number, that's.
I ran a report, they are not correct.
But it will be
So
correct
for
for the-
admin, it's $465,676.40, a $69,000 difference between that and the proposed. So there are some numbers that are not correct,
They'll be
and I
corrected.
will be bringing those up if it comes to be a bone of contention.
It's
So
gonna be,
it's gonna be.
because I'm gonna bring it up, because I want,
It
granted,
is-
you're explaining it here, but. In the annual report, everybody's reading it that way, it's $154,000 from actual to budgeted.
Right,
Once again, what all of us on that budget committee said, here we are, we're up to print. And we're off by $60-some odd thousand, and we're going to vote. And the voters, I mean.
So with me and running the meeting, of course, I'm not taking sides on anything. It'll just be an orderly meeting with question and answers. The only thing I have to ensure is that the final numbers are not greater. And that any line items add up to that is all we have to do. I mean, obviously, there'll be questions, there'll be some discussions, there might be motions to amend it, and all those things certainly can happen. But my objective will be to keep it orderly, fair, everybody gets a chance to speak, et cetera. But I haven't checked the math. I hope that these actually add up on this column to the
Yeah,
bottom.
they were done on an Excel sheet.
So hopefully, there we go. Those things certainly have to be the same, because the warrant that goes out is the warning to residents that it won't be a greater number, it could be a lesser number. And then all those other discussion things that happen, I'll handle that as best I can. But I'll also pull the meeting back to what's germane, if need be, and we can plant a move the question if we need to. At some point, anybody can do that, and then we'll go through that procedure. But ultimately, who's gonna speak first to any questions that come up?
Lorna and I talked today, I would bring that up, that those numbers that are in the actual column are not all actuals. Some of them are, some of them are not. So admin would be a big one that is not an actual number.
The other thing with admin too, is you gotta remember, we went down some personnel. So you've spent less than you were planning on doing it.
Right.
2 months.
True. So, I mean, that makes a difference too,
Does
as to
make a
why
difference.
you're.
That
Why-
makes a difference,
why-
plus
why?
we put $20,000 extra in for treasurer
Right.
and
Right.
admin absorbs all of the contracts for the town of Belgrade, basically. We absorb all of the contracts through admin, so all of our contracts have increased, so we can show it's getting together all those contracts and all the increases and all the changes. Because
But we
we
should have
want
that-
to present, I know,
And. Would it hurt, since if we have the town reports and we end up doing this,
the town reports actually, they delivered 50, you got town reports today.
Right.
They delivered 50 today, they were taken to the post office this morning. The town will have them 3 days as legally required before town
Okay.
meeting. It's
but
not
you were
every-
talking about handing something like this out.
Right, I will have some copies for those people that do not receive them in the mail.
Since the actual has nothing to do with the money we're actually asking for, can we not type it corrected? Can we cross it out and handwrite the corrected number in there? On the ones we hand out, so that people, if they have a question, they understand.
I don't know if we have time. Honestly, I was another employee short today. So,
Well, I'm not talking, if we did it on one, maybe photocopy them all,
and photocopy.
Yeah.
because that way at least have that 100.
But
400.
then would that be questionable, or is it
Well,
just
like I said,
better to explain it and say, you know?
Either
we're
way, but
In
this
between
part of the numbers back.
town
so.
manager, we're in between treasurers.
Yeah.
This was the number initially that we thought, and we ran
We
another
got it.
report after some journal adjustments. And this is the actual number, and all we can do is make an apology and move forward,
All we
and
can do
hope
is
that
put
people would understand.
Right, right. Bruce,
So how many articles is the actual off on?
I would have to go through, I ran an end of year report, we know that fire department's off. We know that roads are off. You know, roads are an awful lot, and roads are one of the areas that you can actually go over legally by
Right.
law. So, you know, we're okay there. I think the biggest thing is gonna be that admin budget, because I know it's been a bone of contention at budget meeting.
So can I make a suggestion, Carol, or to the board?
Sure.
So I think before town meeting, you five need to know how many articles and what the actual is, and everybody on the budget committee. Because we're responsible, just as responsible for that budget as you guys are, because we went through that budget and we made our decisions. That is why one of my members on my committee voted no to most of these
I
articles.
understand that. So we'll see if we can pull those together as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
We've got some more time to come down.
Right.
Barbara?
isn't the warrant that's posted 7 days ahead? The final warrant.
He just picked them up today and went around and did the posting. So
But isn't that what's
that
legally
is,
required, is that
that is
the
the
warrant,
final warrant.
the final warrant can be presented 7 days in advance.
Yeah, but the board signed the warrant that was presented to them, and that's the warrant that he picked up today. I have to have it posted at least 7 days prior to the election.
Right. which
So
would-
he picked it up
which would be
today,
this-
he'll get it posted in the
this
next couple
Friday.
of days. And that's your 7 day till next Friday.
But the actual article, the wording, the article is the actual
Article is the
article.
same.
Right,
Yeah,
it's just the actual figures.
It's the
The actual
actual.
figures which are backup
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
I think that we can
so
explain
then
it.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you look at what the article is, the money is the right-hand column. And that is
Correct.
the amount that's being
That's-
requested.
that's-
And that's,
That doesn't
that's the
change.
right.
And that doesn't change unless the voters
Bring it
reduce it or something.
Right.
Reduce that.
The actual numbers provide some context.
Right.
So a person can make a decision.
And again, the discussion will probably be centered on that, but we'll see where things go. And we'll allow people to speak and questions to get answered. And then eventually, hopefully we get to the point where there's the vote on the actual article itself.
Help me out. Everyone has to speak before someone gets to speak a second time.
That
Am I
is
correct?
correct. Yep,
Okay.
so last year we had someone who was asking lots of questions, but you'll notice I let him do it. Then we went to someone else, but then if there was nobody else, we went back. And
Right.
then again, following that, absolutely, you wanna make it fair. Ideally, if you know we're not doing it this way, but if you know there's two camps for and against something, you would
Yeah.
also alternate if you can, but of course you don't know when everybody's together and you don't know what
Right.
their question necessarily will be. But ideally, if you did, there was a splitting of a hall kind of thing, which we're not doing.
Yeah.
We would try to give each side an opportunity to speak back and forth.
And is someone allowed to call the question?
There can be, but then there's a vote on it and there's a process for that. And I believe I don't have my chart with me tonight, but that's a
Okay, I was
2/3
gonna
vote. So
You
that's
said
why
you weren't using Robert's rules. I assume calling the question was still a
it is
possibility.
absolutely, and the municipal meeting guide, which has been revised a couple of years ago, allows for that. And there's a whole process of which thing, it's very similar to Robert rules. It's just it's trying not to get stuck in a lot of parliamentary kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And it allows the meeting to move along a little faster, and most towns use that.
All right. Yeah, it would not surprise me if someone did call the question if the discussion goes lengthy. So just so you're aware that
Oh, yeah.
that could happen.
And I also
And how to
like,
handle that.
and we would definitely want at some point to take a break like we did last year. And whenever you folks have decided you think that might be a good opportunity, because like we did before, somebody has to make that motion, we get a second
Right.
vote, and then we take that, just whatever that time frame is. I don't know where you folks may want to do that in the meeting.
Well, let's keep going and see.
All right. So, 18, I mean, if Lorna's there, might speak to it, if not, then Carol, you're next on that.
Yeah.
Piece. Next one, 19. Anybody, want to be the one who would speak to that, or someone we call on? if Questions are asked?
18 is, oh,
Public safety.
Maybe Deanna Travis.
yeah.
Yes.
What are the names?
Dan McKenzie, I'll write this all
You're gonna
up
put
for
them
you,
on.
like we did
Yeah.
last year. And Travis Burton.
Yep.
Shouldn't care, shouldn't, if the first question, if the question goes to either Lorna or Carol, depending on whether Lorna's there. Shouldn't Lorna or Carol then call on the staff person rather than have?
They can't, they have to go through the
They
moderator.
have to go through the.
So this way we don't get the personal,
It's easy
I'm
to
attacking
set up
kind of
this way.
people kind of questions. So what they would do is they could say, I'm not sure.
Right.
And then I would say, is there anyone else who can speak to that? And then that's where the other people would certainly have that opportunity. We don't want anybody other than the moderator calling on people, and we don't want anybody in the audience directing their questions. Because it can get into a confrontational kind of thing. And I would remind them to direct all questions through the moderator. And then we would seek out the people to speak to it. It just keeps it orderly and not personal. And I think most people, when we had that last time, I think we were able to kind of keep it that way and it seemed to move smoothly.
It
I
is.
was gonna say, we've never had to start with the town manager and then go
No,
to the
no,
department
we
head,
don't
who are
do
there to
that.
speak on their budget.
Right.
So on those ones that are like public safety, that's strictly Dan McKenzie or Travis
Perfect.
Burton, that's who
Right.
heads those.
And that's who we'll put on the list as the
Yeah,
first
so
people.
whichever department head has crafted that budget, it's their responsibility to speak on it and defend that budget.
Yep, this is why I ask these questions. I know who to call on. Cause I'm really good with faces, terrible with names, and so that's why we have that all written down there on there for me.
On that little cheat sheet.
I love my cheat sheets. All right, so that makes sense. And then, the next one, Article 20. Again, that might be the same situation since it's public works type thing. Will that also be Dan and Travis?
No,
No.
no, that would be Jason, wouldn't it?
So Jason,
Either Jason or the town manager.
or a
depending on
town
the
manager.
budget,
Right,
Because. some of the
Because
stuff-
the snowplow, Jason doesn't handle.
right.
Right.
She's got to handle that, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. 21, is lengthy, you know, when they're not, that's not that bad, and I probably can read that relatively quickly, and I think it's, you know, fine for that. If we had, some sort of ordinance coming up that's like 7 pages, I would definitely not wanna have to read that.
Right.
And we would certainly wanna use that unanimous consent for something like that, but this one, I think is fine to read. Who should, speak to that, since we don't actually have, like I guess that was signed by a treasurer of the town?
It's signed by Lorna.
Oh, is that what that is?
It'd be Lorna, if she's there.
All right, so this would be Lorna if she's there, and if Lorna's not there, the backup would be Carol,
I guess.
if Lorna's not there.
You got a lot of homes, Carol.
Or-
I
And
know,
what about
remember I
Jason?
mentioned
Or-
slitting my wrist one time?
and some of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than willing to hand some of these,
Well, right, and then, by the way, if you say, oh, well, actually, Dan might be better to speak to that, I'll say, Dan, would you please speak to it?
Right,
And you can say that, I mean, that's not calling on Dan, that's still following procedures.
yeah,
All right, Article 22, who's the proper person?
Corey,
Corey,
Story on,
yeah,
yeah, Corey's on.
all right, 23,
Thing.
Corey.
facilities and grounds of prayer.
24,
Jared. Oh, we need to have a list of people that need to speak that aren't.
Right,
members of the
I'll do
town.
that.
and she gave me a list,
Okay,
and what we did, anybody who's not a town, member at the very beginning of the meeting last time, you'll remember,
right,
one of those unanimous consents that I did was reading off people who were not town residents. Unanimous consent's great, otherwise we have to have a 2/3 majority of those present. And that gets tedious, so, and nobody had a problem with that. I read the names, I said that, there was no objection,
right.
it was pretty easy.
So Christian, we've got a little. None of us have articles 24 through 27.
You don't?
Oh,
No.
I'm on.
I don't either. I
So-
thought it was just me.
So we wanna make sure we're answering the right question.
All right.
Oh,
Right.
I
So you said
Yeah,
I don't
24,
have these.
so 24 is an RFP thing for engineering architect
Yes.
services.
Shall the
Yeah.
town vote to approve a request for
We don't have
proposal for
those.
engineering architect services not to exceed a cost of $200,000, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, look in the book again.
That's what I was doing, so would it be?
I
fair-
grabbed this off the desk right there.
Okay. Can
Yeah,
I just make a
Yeah,
photocopy?
so-
It's just one page.
Yep.
It looks like, 24, 25, and then.
26,
26 you got, right?
Nope.
Don't have 27, 26.
I must have grabbed the break.
Yeah, you're right one.
Let me do that.
Well, if she's
Meanwhile,
doing that,
yeah.
are we gonna have awards again for various
We do
town
have
things?
three Spirit of America awards.
And so that will be during that break we came back from, we did it, is that, I recall, is that how we did that
Seems
last
like we
time?
did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but we came back.
Yeah.
Right, and so, again, I don't know where you guys wanna place it, but somebody would have to be planted, it worked really well on the board, just to say, I make a motion, we have a recess of whatever you guys think it is, 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something. That's when people could go buy stuff from Girl Scouts, I
Right.
think were there last time, and they're, whatever else, mingle, get to know one another. and then we started the meeting back up, but then we had
We
the
started
spirit
with
awards.
awards, right?
Yeah. That's
But you didn't need a motion for the awards.
So it's not part of this. I don't think we did that last time. I think we just went right into the awards.
I think,
And then from there, we started back up with the articles.
right.
Can it just go with a simple announcement from you? Is that okay?
I did do that and then I turned the mic over and I forget, I think we were waiting for, the gentleman who won the town or was awarded.
Billy, we were waiting for Billy P to get there.
That's
I
what it
think.
was and it took some time, so
So we
we,
did Spirit of America first, and then we did, because Jack was there, we did Jack and Billy P.
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, we don't have those two awards, so it's just three Spirit of America.
Spirit Awards.
Here's yours back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll wait to get the copies. So do we have a sense of where you guys want to place that at this point? Is there any?
Well, if you want it in the middle, it's gonna be around Article 2021, somewhere in that area. 22.
27.
Where do we get into?
We started at 14,
Yeah,
we got 40,
Barbara's map is 27, she said. Around there, it's the idea that. So between.
do we think we're going to have, we'll have discussion on.
Yeah, you had the town report. right
Anything
in
others
front
you
of
feel they're
Good.
good?
That's what I went to. Thank you.
I feel you're gonna have further discussion on the revenues because of the homestead exemption difference.
Right, okay,
That'd be
Yeah.
probably quite a bit of discussion. Administration, I think the, town office budget, public safety probably have quite a bit and public works, so you may want to choose something in the 21 to 24 range or.
well, that's why I'm thinking at what point, maybe after public work. Do we do Article 21, which is sort of
That's.
related to road maintenance and,
If we're starting at 14 and going to 40,
I'm just thinking some of them are gonna have more discussion, so it'll
Right.
take longer to get there. This,
And some of the tail end articles are gonna go quick.
until I would think they would.
sometimes we don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know, the $1,000 article spends an hour.
But we're all good with a million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think Article 21 should go with Article 20. That we shouldn't stop before then,
So,
that's on roads, so,
so maybe stop after Article 22, or excuse me, after, which one did you say? I'm sorry.
well, I'm just saying, I think we need to get through 21 and then, I don't know, if you.
Depends on how long the discussion.
So we could leave that up to the judgment. I mean, because for me, it's just somebody has to make that motion.
Right,
To have a recess and I think we should decide, or you folks decide, not me.
maybe after Article 18.
I'm good with whatever.
I'm thinking after 24. 24 is gonna be the library,
Yeah,
or,
No,
no,
on the
You know, 24 is the RFP.
yeah, because I'm just looking back to Jared, that's not Jared.
Maybe after.
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah,
Is that your?
You put my handwriting in there? Oh,
No, I
So
just.
20
because I think when you get to 25, you may have some discussion on time to tear down.
Yes,
buildings
I
and Things
do.
like
I
that,
think you're
so I'm
right.
thinking maybe coming back with that one after the break.
Well,
That's a
you'll
good
keep people
idea.
There too.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
you'll have what,
You'll keep people at town meeting for Article 25.
or 25?
Yeah.
So 20, after 24, if someone will make the motion to take a recess of 15 minutes or whatever number you think is enough time. Because when we come back, I'll say barring any objection, we're now gonna be presenting, the Spirit of America Awards. And then if there's no
Right.
objection, that's our unanimous consent. And then whoever is gonna be leading that certainly take
So
over.
Article 24 really does sort of go with facilities, so I think we should get through 24.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I said, once you get to 25, then
Yeah.
we're into, it's
Okay,
facilities, but it's gonna be a.
Yeah.
Could go
so this will
really.
be the,
The 24 is what we're on.
yeah, so 24 we just finished, but after we finish 24, that will be the recess. Somebody will make that motion, we'll get a second. And also, like last time, it works really well to have somebody up on the board, not call the question, what's the word I'm looking for, is to,
Move it.
motion to accept or motion to, what's the word I'm looking for? Also just go blank. For each article, we have somebody picked out so that they will
Move it second.
move it, and then we can get a second usually from the
Well, anybody
audience, but.
can though.
but usually-
Anybody from the
Most-
audience
most generally
can,
it's
but most
chair and
generally
vice
it's the
chair.
chair.
Chair and vice chair, just.
Yeah.
You guys, and that way, if somebody else
Just
isn't doing
easier.
it, somebody's gotta
So we're
get that
not
going, so we can have a
Right.
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, 25.
Well,
No,
actually,
24.
24 isn't Jared.
It's not.
24 is not
Yeah,
Jerry.
who is that?
That would be Corey.
Corey,
Or, yeah,
sorry.
25 is Corey.
And 25 is Corey?
Yeah.
All right.
Corey, you're gonna be a busy boy.
26.
I know, it's ridiculous. You guys gotta stop this.
26 is Corey.
No solid waste is, Penny.
Right, 26.
Well, 26
Oh,
is.
26 is
Oh,
Tearing
okay,
down again.
sorry.
The other
Yep,
Dalton
Corey,
property.
you're right.
So that's Corey.
Yeah.
27 we get it.
And 27
27
is
is Ken.
Ken
Oh, yeah,
Gaino.
Ken. Yeah, I know Ken. He's not a town resident, he's one of the ones who's. we
Yeah.
do the announcing stuff.
Him and Jerry.
All right, and then,
And Lorna.
Laura, yeah,
and then 28, library,
that's Jerry.
That's Jared.
Gary, okay, sorry. All right, Article 30. Parks and Recreation.
Article 29.
Oh, I'm sorry, I,
Yeah.
see,
Uh,
this one, when she gives me my thing, it's highlighted usually in the bottom in yellow, what I'm calling on, so 29?
29 would be probably Corey, because it's the plowing contract. isn't
Yeah.
it?
Wait,
Corey, you got that,
Would it be
you're
the Friends
29?
of the Belgrade Library.
I'll give Corey.
Or the library, yeah.
Would it be the Friends of the Belgrade
No,
Library?
no.
No, because they're not a department of the town.
I think it should be Corey.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
contract, that we're gonna get paid to do the plowing, the mowing
Yeah.
services.
Okay,
Okay,
30,
Kristen? Parks and Rec?
So it would be tough to put Kristen into that position. I mean, we can.
Oh,
As long as she can get educated on the,
On the budget
Right.
in advance, because I'm not sure she was part of the whole thing.
yeah, 'cause that was the
And so it would be
Dan's
difficult
budget, so.
for her to speak.
It's a quick study.
She is a quick study, she's very,
Yeah,
very
she's very
good, I
good.
really like
I
her.
mean,
yeah,
and that's
we
Kristen,
can back her up.
Kristen
Yeah.
McDonald,
and you're gonna put that on there anyway.
I'm gonna have it
Right.
on your cheat sheet.
yeah.
All right, moving on to 31.
So there is a pickleball committee. And I'm not sure, I think Linda Brown is mostly heading that up, so it could be Linda Brown.
Susan Bolduc?
It could be Susan Baldick.
It's a project.
It's part of the rec
Of the rec.
department, so.
Shouldn't it be
Yeah.
someone from rec?
Well,
Should
it
it be Kristen?
Should be Kristen.
it isn't a product,
It isn't
It is
really,
not.
no.
it's not theirs until the citizens accept it.
right,
At this point, it's still a private fundraiser.
It's a project and they actually have something on Facebook right now as a group promoting it by the group.
and would Dee be available?
She's away right now.
She's going to
but
Europe, I know.
She is in Europe right now.
Will she be back?
Yeah, she
Or stay.
probably will be.
Okay, good.
So we can reach out to those two people.
Whoever's in their higher chain of command should.
I think Linda Brown's been heading mostly everything now.
So who is it?
It's
Okay.
Linda Brown, I'll
You'll
reach
put it
out.
on there, but
I'll reach out
probably,
to them
okay.
because they actually
I-
just put something.
I think if somebody's looking for an explanation just on the article, it should be actually be the select board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's authorizing us to accept the donations and things like that. And then if somebody asks questions for information on details on it, then it would,
I
you
agree.
could say, all right,
Right. Yeah, basically, they're asking for permission to build a pickleball
Right.
at their expense
right. For us
on
to,
the
for us
set,
to,
on
for
the
us
Center
to
for All
accept the
Seasons
funds.
property,
and
and for us to be able to accept it.
So Carol,
I guess so.
that.
well, or
Or any
whoever.
one of us, if you
Carol
wanna,
or board
if you're
member.
gonna go through it and assign,
Yeah.
that's fine too.
All right, 32. This is the emergency fuel fund one.
That would normally be town manager.
They normally be Lorna.
Yeah.
Okay. And whenever I see Lorna, but if she's not there, it's Carol, and then,
Or
Yeah.
and then anybody else can say, well, you know, Matt
Mary,
speak
you
to
may
it.
be more versed in that emergency fuel fund than I am,
A little bit.
or you could educate me, but you could just
I'll
educate you.
educate you. How about that?
Okay, Article 33,
So when I say, I think Mary would answer this.
and then I'll say,
Yeah.
Mary, would you please speak to that? Fair enough. Okay, Article 33, this is the one for social services, and there's a list of things on there.
Yeah. Normally it would be Lorna, so.
Okay.
And that actual of expenses is not correct because our revenues that we took in was applied against the expenses, so. And we had about $1,000 of revenues minimum.
But the request is the correct.
The
amount being
request is the
requested.
correct amount, correct?
Is correct.
Yes, the actual is not correct.
Okay, 34 dams.
On benches, did that go to Parks and Rec?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about the bench that was?
No, I'm talking about the senior resource committee.
On that prior article.
Oh, senior resource, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
on
sorry,
33.
okay.
34 dams.
Should we,
It should be Craig because he is the chairperson of Craig
right, Craig
Alexander. And
Alexander,
if Craig isn't there, I already know that Dick Greenan from Rome will be there.
so he'll have to go on our list of.
Right.
people.
And again, put that list, and then what we'll do is when I get the list at the meeting,
Right.
would somebody tell me if there's somebody there who's not on the list? And then if it turns out that somebody's not on the list and then it turns out they're there, we need them to speak, we'll just have to do a vote. And I'll do it through unanimous consent for that person, that's all.
Right.
Nobody's ever objected to that.
No, and he's spoken before too,
Yeah,
right?
But he'll be there, so he'll be on. the
As
list.
far as I know, he will be there.
Okay, 36.
35,
Oh, sorry.
I mean, I think
There's
again,
these big black lines in between, but 35.
Town
Sorry.
manager. And if not, that's Carol.
you see, I have my homework.
All right, now 36,
Reserve funding account.
correct.
So there could be a number of different people speaking on those accounts.
So
They are
anyone who
requesting.
reevaluation, solid waste is Kenny. Tower would be,
Dan,
Dan. Facilities would be Corey.
Mhm.
Maintenance garage is Corey,
Corey.
fire station is Dan.
Yeah.
Cemetery
is
and facilities is Corey, and fire rescue is Dan.
Yeah, so it could be any number of
be any
people,
of
so
them.
I'll put potentials
And
down.
put potentials, and then I can say who would like to speak to that, and whichever person, depending on which category it was, can speak to it then.
Mhm.
Okay. Fair enough. 37. This is for the, principal interest, debt service type stuff.
This
Legal fees,
should
et cetera.
be Lorna, I think there may be discussion on the interest on the TAM. Because it's significant amount of money, and we have not used a TAM in the last 4 years, Mary?
No, the last 2 years, 2 years only that we haven't used the TAN.
But
Just the last 2.
3 years prior that we took the tan out, but then didn't utilize it, right?
Well, we do the paperwork. We only pull out whatever.
What
we
we
like.
need,
Right, right.
and then we're charged according.
But we
Right,
have
interest
legal
according to what you actually
Right.
use.
It costs us a certain amount to set it
Right,
right.
Right.
so Lorna has
Yeah.
the reason, why our interest would be so high on tax anticipation, no.
we should have
And that's
that number
because
by
we're-
town meeting, right?
Well, that's what she was saying earlier, she hopes that they
The hope
haven't
is
set
that
up.
Just looking at our numbers now, they haven't even gone out to the banks yet. So,
So I don't even see how you can even vote on that,
I'm not sure.
Unless that number goes down.
right?
So the warrant would be basically an up to 103,600 in that case. I mean, it just couldn't be higher, if that's all that's
It could be
approved.
higher.
It can go lower, but it could not be higher.
Right.
Interest as written, that's the
Yeah.
vote, unless somebody
Right.
wants to amend it lower.
If we had to exceed it, we'd have to come back to town for another
Yep.
vote.
Right,
If we've estimated more.
if we don't get the paperwork back with the interest rate by the time this is. We were looking at X number of dollars, what we'd have to do is reduce the amount we want to borrow, so that it wouldn't exceed.
The rest,
that for now, and then if we needed more money, then we'd have to go
we'd
back.
have,
We'd have to go
to
back
do
again.
another, increase the
Yeah,
CAM.
because right now it's at 3 million, so
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
interest on 3
3
million.
And I don't know that 3 million.
We've never
is gonna do
taken
it.
out 3 million ever before.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I've done some, never mind. Yes, we need
That's
to look
fine.
at it.
I did the same numbers you did.
You and I are the same
Yeah.
wavelength, yes, but that's not the discussion for tonight.
Okay, so obviously preferred Lorna to speak to it more,
Yeah.
but then
Right.
Carol and or the board.
Carol will do the best and everyone else can jump in.
You know,
All right, trust activities, Article 38.
That's sort of standard, isn't it, Mary?
It is, and usually, the Stevens Fund, I mean, that's an easy one, that's for the high school graduating,
Right,
so,
Usually this is our treasurer that speaks to it, just to go over the numbers, but we don't have one right now,
right.
so.
right,
And we appropriate the only interest that we have from the Don C. Stevens Fund, and the town basically makes up the difference. And this is the only high school academic award given by the town of Belgrade,
Used
so.
to be several,
Huh,
used to be several.
it used to be several,
So I got
yeah.
6 of them.
yeah, but
So if it turns out,
it's
there's
an
any,
easy one.
yeah, if there's
It's an
any
easy
question, I'll
one,
just say who'd
and
like to
it
speak to
shouldn't
it.
be controversial.
I don't think anybody asked last year.
by then,
So
I
we
think
just
it's gonna
say
be,
Carol.
let's get out of here.
All right, that will be 38 or 39.
Same thing is pretty straightforward.
So,
Isn't it?
yeah, it is pretty straightforward. Rita Daniels is now the chairperson of, and historically Pam Prescott used to speak to the article, but I'll contact Rita and let her know
Okay,
to be present.
does she live?
Most
in
likely,
Belgrade?
it's Tom
Yeah.
Daniels' wife.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Rita
Rita
Day,
Dan- oh, okay,
Rita Day.
Okay.
So, yeah,
And she lives right down there with schools. so.
yeah,
right.
listen, and
She was on the
young,
young
but that's old.
Oh, she is for, right, number 3, the 3 bullet. And the Robert Guptill Trust, well, the trust actually requires that, so it's not even controversial. The trust requires that that money be given to Belgrade Central Schools,
I
so,
don't,
I'd
I
be
don't think, I
surprised
don't
if
think
it
we're
was
gonna have
gonna
one.
pass.
no.
No,
I
and if
don't
there is,
think
I'll
so
say we'd
either.
like to speak to it.
Right,
Okay, 40, under additional articles.
if we get there. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Basically, we don't need that if everything goes
If everything
through okay.
passes.
We
Yeah.
only need it if our budget is voted
Yeah.
down.
But we still have to vote on it at the meeting though, right? Because it's an article regardless.
Well, you would vote on it if it has no effect.
But it's only if a departmental budget is voted down. If admin is voted down, if Article 18 is voted down, we are gonna need that.
So regardless of what happens, we don't think we have to vote on that article? Regardless, I mean,
Only-
like, in other words, if everything passes, we don't need to go to it?
Right.
Right.
Right, it's
And
a,
it-
it's basically a
it's saying
contingency,
Article
yeah.
40.
To allow us to be able. to-
Somebody decides they wanna close the rec department, get rid of the center for all seasons. We've had to pay for heat and lights all the way up from the first of the year, so you have to have something done.
Right, cause we're
Authorize.
required by law, we can't let the building fall into the ground, same thing here.
I have no problem with it. I mean, if we, so basically, if we get to a point where nothing was reduced. Then we don't read it, but if anything was reduced,
Only if
Then we
a
have to-
department fails, if the fire department article fails, then you would need this warrant article.
only if there's
Allow
not
it
just a
to
reduction.
Continue
Okay.
at the levels until another town meeting could be held.
So you can lower the warrant numbers,
Right,
If they
but
were,
it still passes,
right.
because you lowered it and it
If
passed.
you lower it to a certain point that they can't operate at, then you'd have to
Then
have
you'd
this,
have
because
to.
you're gonna almost close it, but.
so it might become a judgment call if we only end up with enough. Like if there's a big reduction, I won't know that that's not enough, then I would just proceed with that article.
Worst case at the end, you get to that one, we could make
Yeah.
a motion.
Carol's gonna
to-
know.
To vote no on that article,
Right,
and
yeah.
then just have a vote.
Yeah.
Because we don't need it anymore.
So just so you know, I would rule that out of order because you can't have negative motions. It has to be in a positive. However, you can say motion approved, and then everybody says, but our recommendation is everybody vote no, and here's why, and then you vote no.
Right.
You don't want to have a negative motion because then if you're voting no to a negative motion, is that a yes? And so forth, so it can get confusing.
I
So,
understand what you're saying.
but I know what you're saying, absolutely. You just get it, motion on the table, it's in the discussion, but then everybody says, don't, this is a, go, you don't need it.
Right.
Okay, that is it that's on the warrant, unless I missed anything. So again, we're gonna try for a break, and just to,
At 24.
at 24, and whatever sense you think you need for that kind of time, whatever that is what we'll end up seconding and voting on.
Probably
But the
20
recess-
minutes or so.
I'd say give it, 20 minutes to a half hour, because people are gonna wanna use the bathroom.
We're gonna use
If
bathroom.
Girl Scouts or somebody selling cookies, they wanna go get a snack.
And I promoted that last time
There
too.
anymore because the way the Girl Scouts have rearranged the Northeast District, they're not allowed to do food sales.
Yeah.
They can't do
Until-
booze
That's
sales?
okay, because we do have a group that's doing,
Cupcakes and
fundraising.
cookies.
I have the pickleball group.
Right,
that-
so that's something. to
I
say.
figured it up and Kristen
But we always wanted the Girl
worked
Scout
on it
cookies.
and
in
she
there.
got the pickleball group, so they will provide food.
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to do more than about 20-minute break, or at least announce a 20-minute break.
I think 10 minutes is actually enough, 10 or
Okay, 'cause
15 minutes,
we don't
because,
lose-
people are there for the
lose-
purpose of the town warrant, and they're not there for the purpose of visiting booths or anything
Well-
like that. Most people that want to are gonna come early anyway.
Well, why don't we say 15?
Yeah, say 15, because it'll take
And we'll
5
get
to
them
get
back in
back.
the order as soon as you can. People aren't gonna leave when the next article is tearing down those buildings.
Right.
Trust me.
They are.
That and the capital reserve one.
Whoever makes that motion, just make it 15 minutes, we'll get a second, there'll be a vote, nobody's gonna vote against it.
Right, if it runs a little longer,
Yeah.
And then when we come back, I'll do the unanimous consent for, and barring any objections to do the Spirit of America Awards. And
Right,
then whoever's gonna lead that, we gotta do that part and then continue on right after.
right.
All right, any questions for me on anything? I hope to run a good meeting again and productive. Don't forget, we also vote the day before. All
Yes, we
seasons
do.
place. What did we have last year? 350 people, so
255.
Yeah, we only had 255 altogether.
physically,
I felt like
right?
Oh, that was, oh, that's right, that was the early voting too, right?
And that included the early voting.
How many
So
was
less than 255.
Yeah.
So that included absentees and the early voting. So it was not
We're not
the
early.
best
you
turnout.
don't care about how much money they spend on their taxes, man.
Yeah.
You think they'd come out.
Well,
try to
I
ask
certainly will
people if
promote
they
what I can with people.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna excuse myself from the meeting if that's
And
okay.
I do want to say thank you to Christian and recognize him because he did step in within 5 hours, 6 hours of the candidates night. He did an excellent
Oh, thank
job.
you.
And I truly appreciate
Of
your
course.
doing that.
To be a good member of a town and a community, it takes people like you and everyone else who's on committees and if you don't volunteer and you don't participate, then who's going to? So I feel like I try to do my little part, but, all right,
Thank
folks.
you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yep, see you.
Okay. So the next item is the MDOT over limit construction permit. Which looks fairly straightforward. Do we need to read the whole letter into the record?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
It's linked.
So does, anyone have any discussion on the permit or what we need to do?
I think it's spelled right out. I mean, essentially what has to happen is if we agree to allow the overweight vehicles, they have to agree to repair any damage that
Right.
comes to town roads.
Right.
And that is covered in here.
Yeah, and in reading it, I mean, I don't feel that we need to request a bond. We can ask them as I read through it, but most towns, it appeared as though it's not requested. And I personally don't think we need to do that, but that's one person's opinion.
So I just had a question about that, because I was looking
Yeah.
through the letter. Have we done that in the past? Is that like a standard thing we would do? Oh, hey, DOT, we'd like to require.
I don't think we ever
It
had.
may have been once that we did it that I can ever remember.
I don't recall
I don't-
having one for me.
When Greg was
I don't-
here, I think we did it once.
I would be more inclined if it was a private contractor.
Well, Because we
Because
normally
DOT
get this time of year from a private contractor. But I believe the last time it was construction, they did the workaround to not cross that section.
So I asked my question just as a matter of understanding the best practice.
Yeah.
And it sounds like what we have done is relied on a trusted relationship with a partner, MDOT.
Right.
Pretty well funded normally. In this case, sounds like we're probably okay not to. So I'm good with not requiring a bond.
Anyone else have any feelings one way or the other? No, Dan, Melanie, you comfortable?
Make a motion to sign the permit.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
I'm comfortable with the 25 miles an hour too, and it says 25 to 40. Unless a higher speed limit is agreed upon in writing by the municipal officers. I think 25 to 40 for a full
Right.
construction type vehicle's plenty.
Okay, so Dan made a motion that we approve the permit. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor, Barbara? Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses and. Is the signature the one we have in our book or is it in here as well?
It should be in the folder. I gave it
Okay.
to Lorna.
Okay, all right, I just
in there.
was after, I haven't looked. Okay. Okay, it's not listed here under new business, the interviews for we have 5 candidates who are set up to interview for the treasurer's position. And we need a select board member to sit in that panel. The interviews are Thursday, 4 of them on Thursday morning and 1 of them on Friday morning. So,
Three of us
Dan
look
can't be.
probably out.
you're working, right, Melanie?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, very busy. Yeah, work.
I sort of would prefer that someone else did it, Barbara. And you're willing to unless you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I mean, they just have to write out the questions.
yeah. Do we need a motion for that, or we just agree that Barbara will be on the board, on the panel?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to.
Thank
So,
And we do have a budget committee member too, Gary Mullen.
yes, I'm sorry, Gary Mahler has agreed to be on it. So it would be Lorna and Mary and Gary Mahler and Barbara. So it would be the 4 people interviewing. And there are 5 candidates and, hopefully we will have one of those people in a position to start in 1st of April. I mean, 2 weeks, give 2 weeks notice, so whatever, if they make a decision, we're basically looking, we're about April 1st. So, so that I have on there. Is there any other business that anyone wants to discuss?
I just have a couple of things that I just wanted to go over, so. Just so that we're staying up to par on everything, and trying to keep our financials up to date. I did ask, Nick, to come in to see if he would do our reconciliation for the month of January. That will at least catch us up there. There are a number of other items that I'm hoping that he's going to address. Or show me or Lorna. I'm not sure if Lorna's coming in or not. He's coming in tomorrow between 3 and 5, and that's what he plans to work. He also did come in the month of November and did the reconciliation. He came in the month of December and did the reconciliation. And then he was in quite a few numerous times when Lisa started. To go over a few things, so we've never ever paid him He did ask for a fee, and the fee is $75 an hour, which is he charged that amount to the town of Winthrop when he went over there and did work for them on a per diem kind of basis. So I do feel that we should be paying him for at least the month of December, which was 2 hours is what he gave me. We had a long talk on the telephone the other day. And then he'll come in tomorrow and he'll work 2 more hours and we'll see what we can get done. But I think that it's important to make sure that our financials are up to snuff as much as possible for whomever comes in, because if they don't have a municipal accounting background, it's a little tiny bit different than regular accounting. So we just want to make sure that, you know, everything's a match, everything's nice and it's a smooth transition and it's not months behind the schedule. So we can do the January reconciliation. If something more is needed, I'll talk to Lorna about it. If we can't get it done for some reason because there are some issues, then I'll have her let the board know that it's going to take more time. So I'm just asking that the board approve at least the $150 for the month of December. And then the 2 hours for tomorrow afternoon. So I plan on coming in and working with him unless Lauren's planning on coming in. I'm not sure. She did ask. So.
Anyone have,
Just a
Peter?
quick question, is 2 hours enough time?
I'm not sure because there are a number of things and questions that I have for him that I want to make sure that we take care of those financially to clean up our books. So,
So if you think that it would be questionable if 2 hours would be.
then we'll
enough.
send a message out to the board and let the board know that it's gonna take a little bit, you know, he may have to come in another day. Maybe it's not gonna get done in 2 hours. He told me it took him 2 hours in December. Knowing Nick, it could have taken him 3 or 4 and he's saying 2. So that's just how he is.
At this point, why don't we just approve like 10 hours?
I was
If you
gonna
don't
say,
spend it all, you don't spend
we
it.
don't have it, we haven't
So I
there.
was just
I
gonna
was
say.
gonna
is
say,
why-
Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
So is that include the 2 hours for December?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
up
How,
to
how's that gonna work with our
10
audit
hours.
though? Because we're supposed to have all the books closed by the end of the year.
Yeah,
So how does?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I haven't sent a message off to Jen. She's still trying to reconcile some other things.
So, any other discussions on doing that?
so the only other thing I was thinking about is naturally, this is sort of confidential stuff,
Right,
right? So I don't know what. we have to
What's
say anything,
confidential?
The audit information.
Oh,
for
the
town.
audit is public. That's public.
The work that he's doing.
Oh, the
you know,
work that he's doing?
He's-
That's all public information now. Any financials?
The results are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the work that's being done is relative to the town of Belgrade.
Then you don't wanna share out of the town of
you
Belgrade.
know, that's shared out of the town.
That's what I'm coming down to.
So does it make sense to have?
I guess I'm not
Confidentiality
understanding that.
agreement.
I'm not understanding that because anything in the town of Belgrade as far as financials and money is public
That's public
information.
information to anybody, in the
Sorry.
state of- anybody in the country.
It's public. It's all public. So
Okay,
Nick is very good. He'll be very good with that. So
Mhm.
I don't have any concerns of that whatsoever. But it is all public. It's public tax dollars.
mhm,
It's tax dollars.
okay.
All right, so did we get a second on that for $75?
Yeah, Peter seconded.
And, Peter,
Is
okay.
there any further discussion?
I just want to make sure that Peter's concern is, are you looking to have Nick sign some sort of a confidentiality agreement?
That's what I was thinking, and it's not the audit, I'm talking about the information that's going on in the town between taxpayers and the town. There is something about transactions, financial stuff, there are things that
Public,
just want.
Peter, it's all public tax dollars.
What I'm trying to say is taxpayer dollars, yes, public. How it gets done, that information about those things, that's what I'm talking about.
About him coming in, I guess, I
No.
don't understand.
What I'm trying to say is, and I'm not doing a very good job at talking about it, I don't think. The results of any audit are public. Got it.
Yeah.
Anything to do with public money, public. What I'm talking about is if there was anything to do with any kind of transaction, using credit card information, anything like that, that information is not public. So that's why I'm talking about when people are involved doing financial, investigations, if you will, or audits, or anytime there's something going on with the town, there are transactions that occur on a minute by minute basis or hour by hour, whatever it is, that stuff. And when we're doing financial updates or anything with that, what I'm talking about is that sort of information that would be confidential, that. just wanted to
There
make
won't
sure.
be anything with credit cards or anything like that. It'll be the reconciliation for the most part is what I'm looking for the month of January.
Okay,
Because we've got the statement for that. And,
Okay.
And then, we have a couple of little tiny issues that I'm hoping we'll have to do some journal entries. They'll be able to either do those quickly or tell, Lauren or myself, this is how, and these are all the accounts that you have to hit, so. I fully trust that Nick is, very discreet person.
Mhm.
So.
There are those issues that the board should be aware of.
I'm sorry.
Are those issues that the board should be aware of?
No, I think that there were a bunch of maybe misunderstandings or I'm not really sure what it was. So I really don't think I should get into details about those.
I think it's right of not having a treasurer and
Right,
too many people trying to
too
do
many
the
people
job.
trying to help.
And so the things get missed
No,
here and
I
there.
think that there was only one person
Well.
doing the work, so.
Right,
Um,
but stuff got missed because that wasn't the full.
Right, it was too much work for one person, let's just say that, it was a burden, it became very burdensome, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay, so
and-
let's vote on,
But I just want to make sure,
oh,
are you comfortable with drafting a confidentiality agreement that Nick signs and says I'm working as a consultant for the town of Belgrade to help reconcile their accounting from December of 2024 through April of 2025, and have him just simply sign something?
Based on what Mary was telling that the work that he'd be doing, I feel that my concern has been addressed. So thank you for talking that out,
okay,
but I don't know if there's any other concerns,
I'm gonna-
but
are you okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
And then when he's all done, if we can send him a letter of appreciation,
Mhm.
Because.
Well, we may need him back,
Yeah.
for the February reconciliation,
Yeah.
because if we don't get somebody in
That's what I'm saying,
here.
until it's done.
If we don't get somebody in here until the first of
But we
April,
do
then
appreciate the
February
fact.
Right.
that he's
statement
Yes.
becomes due.
We'll have to do
Yeah.
that.
but there, but we may have money left over from this one so that they can
Yeah.
still bring it back.
True.
Yeah.
And so what we'll do is, we'll pay him through an AP warrant and then, but we'll still take the money out of the treasurer payroll.
Treasure payroll.
Right.
Okay,
So,
so, first one, all in favor, Dan,
Yes,
Peter,
yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Barbara, she's waving, and I'd say yes, so five
okay,
yeses.
so
Just so we.
So it's finalized, it's in writing, that the board okayed it, so.
Right.
In case there's any
Okay.
question in the future.
Okay, all right.
What else? Did you have
Anything else you have, Mary, that we should,
No, mostly, those end of the year numbers that are, different, but I guess we'll just address those at town meeting the best that we can.
well,
I will send
if you
those
want,
out.
I'll come in and see if I can,
Well, you can't do anything about what the report says. The
Right.
report gives it different numbers than our actual numbers in the town warrant, so.
no, but I mean, is looking, seeing how bad, how
Yeah.
far off we are,
So,
so.
did the auditor pick up on that, or is that something that you did
I
when you
ran
ran
a
a
report.
report?
I ran a report.
So do we even know, does the auditor know this?
Well, auditor is still auditing,
Still
hasn't
auditing.
finishing.
yeah, it's not final with the audit we've got.
That's why we have unaudited numbers in the town report.
Are we gonna have it?
I let her know I needed at least 3 days before town meeting for a final. So, I didn't reach out to her.
She's down one person too.
We're gonna be lucky if we got it.
Yeah.
I mean,
But we have to have it.
right,
It's state law, so.
the biggest thing I'm looking at right now. As a taxpayer in this town, how can we pass a budget? One without an audit report, one without actual numbers. We can't. I mean, yes, I know we have to run as a town, but how can we vote on articles? We don't have the true actuals, and we don't have audited numbers. This is one of my person that's on the committee's biggest complaint on the budget committee is these numbers changed and changed and changed, and they're still changing. And as of right now, if there's not some answers before town meeting, every article I put up, and I'm gonna say, raise my hand, I'm gonna say. You know. Unless, you know, if we don't have an audit report, my recommendation is, you know.
We'll
As a-
have it, we'll have an audit report, she'll get something to us.
Because, I mean, not having actual numbers is. You know, I know we've been up down a treasurer and, you know. We should have done a better job at trying to find one for one, but it's just, town meeting's very important. It's when we do our budget and it's very tough. To sit there in front of the taxpayers and try to get a budget approved when. We as the ones that are putting the budget forward to the taxpayers don't even know if it's right. And not comfortable that it's right. I'm not comfortable and I'm the chair of the budget committee. I was comfortable at first, but now as we're getting closer to town meeting and hearing more numbers still changing and changing, I am not comfortable with presenting a budget to the town.
I think we need to look at, you know, how far off are we? Are we off $100,000? That's a big deal. If we're off 4,000 or 5,000, you know, how far are we off on pieces? From what was printed and from what we get for an audited number. And if there's a substantial number, then I think that's an issue. And we'll just have to look at that once we get the numbers as close as we can. And get whatever Jen can put together.
Yeah.
But you feel confident we'll be able to have that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows that we're on a deadline. I mean, she's professional. We're
Right.
paying her a lot of money.
We're paying her a lot of money.
We're
I
paying
mean,
her a lot.
I know one weekend she worked the whole weekend because she was down a person and had to work through, so.
The only other thing that I have to say, I think that it would be very important, that whenever we do get a new treasurer, that person provide, a monthly expense report to each of the department heads, because what I find is that people are spending money that may not have been budgeted for items, and yes, there are emergencies, but there are reserve accounts as well, and I think it's really important that
Right.
people try to adhere to their budget, and if they're going over, then they need to come to the board and justify it.
Well, and I mean, I think that report should come to the board. I would like to see every month where we are, just, I do, I don't know if everyone else
It
does.
always was.
We have, since I've been on the board, I've never seen, you know.
I mean, as a chair of the transfer station, we used to get a report every single month, so we knew. When we went to our meeting, we had that report, so we could see where we were on expenditures and,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. I haven't seen one of them and. Ever.
Years.
I think it's a great
I
idea.
think we got away from it. I think we have to go back to it. And where we are line iteming, we have to be very careful now.
And be mindful.
So we just need to watch it and it's our responsibility to look at that report. And
Maybe we should add that to our list of things that we need to be written down for standard operating procedures, so that we do it.
mhm,
Yeah, exactly.
100% agree with that.
yeah,
Helps keep the guardrails up for
Right.
each department, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I know I'm getting close,
yeah.
come back.
It's awful easy to, well, spend some money that you think you had in there, but you forgot you had another expense. that's
Another
supposed to
expense,
be at,
And then that
and it isn't
becomes,
shown up,
so
so.
so it just needs to be a little more mindful of it. And and the rest of us too, so.
So we probably, somebody should probably be keeping a list of those things that we should be writing down like that. Cause otherwise it's gonna get lost like the rest of them. So who's keeping the list?
It'll be in a minute.
Right.
Okay, is there anything else anyone has on their other business? I don't know of anything. Okay. If not, let's move to warrants. Do I have all of them here? No. Okay, so first I move we pay payroll warrant number 19 in the amount of $26,670.20.
Second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Barbara says yes, and I vote yes, so 5 yeses. I move we pay, BMV warrant number 20 in the amount of $2,935.75.
Second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
yes.
Barbara says yes, and I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. I move we pay payroll warrant number 21 in the amount of $21,427.97.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Barbara says yes, and I vote yes, 5 yeses. I move we pay AP warrant number 22 in the amount of $25,791.83.
Second,
Is everyone ready to vote on that one? That one we had in our book, so.
22. Here,
20 AP
22.
warrant 22, which is in our book.
Yep.
And then there's another one,
23 follows that.
23 is here, yeah,
we're doing 22 right now,
22,
correct?
yep,
okay.
yes,
All in favor of AP 22, Dan,
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Barbara, voting yes, and I vote yes. And then a warrant number 23, AP warrant number 23, and the amount of $86,296.35.
Second,
Okay, any discussion on this one?
Yes, you, go ahead.
Said no invoice. Correct, no invoice, and it's for the fitness instructors, so.
So it was a request for payment and there was no invoice. So typically you pay the invoice and not a request for payment. So I talked to Kristen about it and said, maybe they should be submitting an invoice to the town of Belgrade to be attached to the request if you wanted to, do the request for payment, but we pay invoices. So that's all that was meant to be, no invoice.
I figure that
Yeah.
if we need invoices, they should be submitted.
They should be submitting them, right, because they are in a sense considered vendors.
right,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay, Dan, I can do that. I'll sign this one.
So,
Yes. What's your thought?
My thought is to put a plug in for a mechanism that will allow, like a DO or something to go, to be attached to just so there'll be a record of whatever those vendors are. So just for future.
Oh.
So that way it doesn't come up and it's like, just no invoice and people are saying, well, what was that?
Right, well, because when somebody went through that warrant at another period of time, they're not gonna see, there's nothing there except a piece of paper signed by Kristen, not signed by the vendor. It's signed and filled in by Kristen, that's it. There's no dates there, there's no nothing there, there's no history there on what this amount and the period of time that it's covering for.
So it'd be cool if there was.
Brenda.
What we ought to do is, when we start reviewing some of the policies, is, one of the
Right.
policies is, no invoice, you don't get paid.
Right,
what else is, if we didn't receive it within 30 days, you don't get paid. That's sometimes where the stuff's lad.
Well, that's my bad, cause I did that.
Alright,
No big.
So. Under page 5, another one on science carpentry. The post replacement. Is that the Center for All Seasons? This is capital project facilities and then a 72 by 36 awning built. Where is this awning? And what
I'm
is it
assuming
for?
it's at the Center for All Seasons. I didn't have a lot of detail on it, so hold on.
Oh, cause that's $8,900.
The Hemlock post has gotta be the Center for All Seasons.
Yeah,
That's the only place with Hemlock.
Right, that's definitely, I know that definitely.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that it is.
And I know we had talked about shoring some of them up and then
That,
Levin had said that we should just straight up replace that.
how much is that lean to? Did we have that built for the garage?
Is this the right, did she give me the?
No, yeah, just.
She brought these papers out
The
here,
slabs
so I did
prepared,
not know
that's
she
it.
was not
Slabs
gonna
and
be
they-
here.
I thought maybe that would be the 72 by 36.
This is AP 16. This isn't even the right AP.
Corey still here?
No,
No. Because it was all in order, generators.
So did
This
we
isn't
vote
the
on
right
Last one, or
AP.
we're still waiting on the last one?
We have not voted
Okay, I
on
was
it.
trying to think, where are we?
We're just
What, did,
discussing.
what, that was
Paperwork
AP
assigned.
warrant number 23. Hold on a
Yeah.
second. Let me go grab it. I gotta,
So that's,
and I got a question on that.
it should have been in a gray folder, but you don't. see
I got
it.
the gray folder Dan has.
It
It's
doesn't-
a big one with
Yeah, it doesn't
everything
have
in
it
it
in.
for,
Oh, no,
I got a question on attorney fees,
yeah,
what they're for.
there was a breakout on,
I'm gonna scoot, I gotta go.
thank you
kids to
for
bed.
staying and enduring with
No
us.
problem, thank you.
Welcome aboard. There were 4 items on it.
Right, and the Martin, the one for the Martin property is the one I got in
I
question.
think there's a marker on it, and then, yeah,
Yeah, that's one I got in question, what's that attorney? That charge.
it was on the bill, because I was looking through the bill.
Yeah, I just, because the closing was in December, so what was this?
Didn't they have to, I'm just thinking, didn't they have to redo the lines on? Didn't we give them an extra
That was,
50 feet and they had
that
to
was-
redo paperwork on that?
that was all done before we did the closing. So I'm just wondering if it took them long to get the
Yeah.
closing bill. That's what I guess that's what
Yeah,
I'm
I
at.
don't know, that
I'd like, if I could get answered.
we could get an answer on it. But, what that was for.
Like, hey, looking at your attorney bills, you don't have enough money budgeted for attorney fees if this keeps going. This-
So is there, we're waiting for Mary to get the.
Yeah.
Get the police.
oh, this is that. Oh, it's not, I'm not sure where it is. I'm sorry. I looked in her.
You want me to text Corey, see if he can jump back on?
Yeah, and I'd like to
We can
know
find out what
where
that is.
this awning is. That's a really nice awning.
$3,600.
Thing is that, I don't think there's any awning down.
So you want the, Bruce, you're looking for the fire department legal fee.
Yeah, I just wanna know if that's a closing or if that was something else. I'm just trying to, yes, I know we got some money in the capital reserve for it, but I'm just trying to.
Yeah, well, we may have a little longer, keep that in reserve, right?
Bruce, do you know what the insurance is that they have here for volunteer firefighters?
I
Hub
looked,
International. Hub International is the one that I used to pull the insurance policies when we had the car show and evil supper and things like
I
that.
think it's a policy we pull to kind of blanket us for responding to calls.
Oh, is that what that?
I think that's what it is. Dan would be the one, Travis
it's
would be
like
the one. to ask
42
on
people
that.
times $38 a piece or something. Only because I was looking through the other stuff.
I only checked into that with state ones before, that you cover under the space insurance, minimum top of the vehicle.
Well, But it's a very gray area, it's been pushed in other towns and that doesn't fit. So maybe. Pop into the meeting again.
That's fixed on the side of the
Once that,
would
I
start.
don't know where it is.
$1,000
Gave it to her.
would start.
I'll give you that.
Was that the one I was looking at the other day?
It's in a great big folder. It was huge.
It was, yeah, it was,
It's not in there and it's not in her room. I don't know where it is.
huh,
So,
I can't, let
did
me
you
give
get
him
a
a
hold of
call.
Cory?
He can't jump back on, but let me see if I can call him.
Yeah, just ask him what that awning track is.
cause
Question
this
is, what is
is,
the awning?
this is the last warrant for 729,000. My warrant was only for 85,000.
Yeah. it's
Right,
and that's-
Loveland and Sons Carpentry, and it's 72 by 36 awning built.
It was a post replacement and an awning build.
Right.
And that's all the information I had, because it was just typed up.
That way.
That was it.
Was it at the Center for All Seasons?
Yes.
He's typing back right now on the answer. Must be one of them.
There was a big crash when it was something came down.
Oh, you know what? I know where I might be. Hold on a second. Let me see if it's in another drawer.
He's still typing, Bruce.
Stop typing. Let me try calling him.
Does everybody know too, just on a side note, why we're paying to rent the 1 ton for Jason Stevens for 8 hours when we have a town 1 ton?
I'm sorry, no, I
I
didn't
think
hear
it's
you.
his personal.
So
So paying Jason for a 1
Yeah.
ton truck for 8 hours?
Probably because I want to, that's, I'm surprised maybe that's a sander in the back of the. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the sander.
I had to check.
Well, I thought the sander was put in the half-ton truck. That's what I
Okay,
saw
so
it in there at
just a
the center,
second,
at
okay.
the transfer
You
station.
got a couple.
So it's at the North Belgrade Community Center. It's on the back entrance. There's an awning because the snow was coming off and blocking the handicap entrance. So that's where the awning went. It's on that back side.
So they built a lean sort of amount stuff.
Basically like a lean-to thing on the backside, or, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a doghouse, or, okay. Anything else you guys got while I got him?
And the Hemlock Post is at the Center for All Seasons post replacement, and is that the total bill?
And that hemlock beam was at the Center for All Seasons? Yeah, Center for All Seasons.
Is that all of it?
Is that all, are they all fixed now, Corey? Is there more gonna be done? One more. That's in that cost. I got one more that's in that cost, and then he says there's one more doghouse going on. Then we put on it, North Belgrade on the big basement entrance to it.
And that's out of this price already too.
Yeah, is that part of that price? No. No, it's not.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
okay.
Are we ready to vote now on the warrant?
You want the Bernstein store?
Oh,
Right, no, we just didn't know where it went. That's all. Thank you, Corey, sorry to bug you. Okay, bye.
Mr. Bernstein, sure. And what was the question on that one?
the question is what the lakes, the fire department charges
The
are.
Martin property.
$2,873.
What
Yeah.
for?
What's it for?
Put stuff all over these because I separated them. Cause there's like 3 bills for each thing. This is right here, for professional services rendered through January 31, 2025. So. If you look at it, these are the professional services. It's 2 pages. Do you wanna look at it closer?
Can I just, when we're done, can I get a copy of that, please? Thank you.
It was a lot, so.
Yeah. Okay,
So it must have
I'd
been a
actually
lot
like
of
to
stuff
see
that
those
had
every
been
time we
done.
get them.
Excuse me?
I'd love to see those every time we get them.
Yeah, yeah, I can make your a copy. Do you want me to just send it to you tomorrow?
Yeah, you do, well, you're not working, well, then it's me Thursday, it's no rush.
Okay, I'll just make myself.
I just-
know.
I
are
just
we
try to
ready to
keep
vote
track
on
of
on the warrant?
I'm set.
Yes.
Melanie said I'm set.
I'll say, okay, all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Barbara? And I'll vote yes for those 5 yeses. So I believe that takes us through our agenda. If there's not anything else they want to bring up? I move we adjourn at 8:16.
Well, that's not bad.
Second?
Seconded by Melanie, all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Barbara. I'll vote yes, 5 yeses.
It's the OT with it.
So Barbara, I hope you feel better, and Melanie, you sound like you're a little froggy.
Chance, Mary, that you're gonna
Been
watch it.
lately, I think it's
I'm
just the
sorry.
heat and
Shut
the
the
dry.
recording.
Oh, okay.
Recording, or you're gonna watch it dead. Please.
Okay.
It's
Well,
just you here, right? Nobody
Yeah,
else?
right, yeah. So this is
Hey,
here,
it's it. Oh,
and that's signed, and
All right, I'm gonna write in my note to myself, signed. Bruce. Sure.
so you're going on Friday, coming back to Bruce.
You want your check?
Yes.
Oh, you got it?
This up there, you'll be back in town to vote.
Oh, yeah. That was, the fire department Sunday.
Oh, is this Super Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh,
That means all select people must be there.
how many people are there?
How many people are you there?
Yeah,
I'll be after the fact, I'll be
Should-
doing
should be
the
the whole
recorded
package.
version of it.
and where do you do the training?
Right, the lake stations.
For everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They set up all the tables.
Yeah,
all
we
day.
pull the trucks
Oh,
out.
pull the trucks out and get
Yeah.
everyone in.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus we're doing CPR research too,
Yeah.
so whoever needs that's gotta be there. Anybody in this office has it and needs to be recertified, they probably all do that.
I did
Sorry.
mine, is it every 2 years now?
I did not know, I had Ian put the books together and I noticed he didn't put any dividers in between.
No big deal.
I was smack talking you in my head, no, I'm just kidding, I was like.
I'm not sure what time that is, Travis will be the one to contact tomorrow, he's on duty tomorrow, so.
Okay, I'll check them, because, although we'll run another one at the church like we did before, so I can get them certified there.
You can do a stop and bleed course,
We haven't, we're talking about doing one.
A stop what?
stop and bleed. I
Oh,
know some already.
Yeah, actually, somebody else approached us for it, to do one.
Yeah, I think I did. Last time we met, I mentioned it. And
Yeah.
I think there was some good
so
Yeah.
is this like if you fall down, someone's bleeding